Melvin Edwards, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here, to meet you, and I hope I can give you some, ideas of what I try to do.
I have no doubt. Now, of course, we've got one of your pieces here, Barbed Wire and Chain. Now, I want to ask you a question about it. Is it true that this actually started out as a sketch in the 1970s and only now has actually sort of come into what we see here now?
Yeah, actually, exactly 1970, because in that period, roughly 1969 through about 74 or 5, I did drawings that developed these kind of ideas. What happened was, rarely was there a situation where I could actually do the pieces, meaning an exhibition situation. So they sort of got put away as drawing. So this one I'd never executed, only the drawing. So this was the first opportunity to do that.
So talking about this piece here, let's have a look at it. What obviously the most sort of obvious part that we see here is this barbed wire, which to me has always meant sort of a fence, a divide, keeping something separated. Is that what you were going for by using that as a medium?
No, put it like this. I work with steel. I make sculpture. I make three-dimensional statements of one kind or another. Wire is simply another kind of steel, and then barbed wire, of course, has more implications. Now, if you want to talk about the symbolic or potential meanings of those things as humans have used them in poetry or politics or things like that, then things like slavery, and people will say chains. So I'm a visual artist, and I'm one who's aware of all of those dynamics.
When this sketch came from, the series of work, looking back to 1970, you become the first African-American artist to have a solo exhibit at the Whitney Museum. What was that experience like?
I wasn't thinking about it in those terms. So like you could say, well, since 1970, how many African-American artists have had a one-man show at the Whitney Museum?
I mean, I really do love how you've taken your sculptural work, these physical objects, and then made them, I guess, a
tool, a stencil.
A stencil, exactly, because you can, the imprint is so clear, both the barbed wire and the chains as well.
In working with the chains as the point of resistance for the creation of the image, I was taking what amounts to a piece of sculpture and using it as a tool in order to create an image. And then in going in with the color, the liquid kind of color, because it's acrylic or watercolor-based kind of things, it gives me a flow. Things will look almost atmospheric or as if they were underwater. And being the kind of artist I am, if my work provokes, I would hope it provokes in a bunch of directions, not just one.
Well, I think we can safely say from the conversation and the to and froing we've had today, it definitely does provoke a lot of different reactions.
Okay, well, if I can harass a budding young film director, thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure.
Okay, my pleasure.